Hello again, everybody. Welcome to our seventh installment on our podcast series here. Now, we are going to be running it back a little bit, going back to our COVID roots when we first began the three-part COVID series. Instead of just talking about Sydney now, we did decide to bring our good friend Vincent along. Say hello, Vince.
Hello. Hi. How is it?
We're good, thanks.
We're good.
Because the audience can't hear us, so we keep it like that. I respond.
It's our thing now.
Do it big, Balenciaga oversized. Need that whip, mad black with suicide. I won't miss. I put on that time for you.
Now, it's going to be a Sydney versus Melbourne edition, given that me and Justin are from Sydney, and we have been a little bit biased on our past episodes, so we'd like to take someone on that can sort of explore the issues that are, sort of arising in Melbourne now as well with the lockdowns. And given that it's probably the most strict state out of all of us, it's going to be good to hear from, someone from Melbourne, right? So I'll pass it back on to you, Vincent, and you can sort of introduce yourself just for the audience out there.
Yo. What's up? My name is Vincent. I'm from Melbourne. I am in lockdown, although I'm working, so it doesn't really affect me as much. But yeah, I'm 22. I feel old. I actually feel old now. But I'm pretty sure majority of our audiences and you guys are older too, so
Exactly.
it's good. I feel young in a sense.
Nice.
Well, cool. I mean, we are a year older than Vincent, so I mean, in a way, we also feel old, I guess, right, Justin? So
Yeah, that comment of you just 22, mate. Like, I wish I was 22 again.
exactly.
Just go back last year.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Tell us more about yourself. So, what are you doing for work at the moment?
Right now I'm working at the hospital. So
Nice.
So I'm not really a frontliner in a sense, but I can call myself a frontliner.
Mhm.
But I work in the food services area, so I'm just there serving food. And yeah, that's what I do.
Cool.
Yeah, so Vincent, we heard that you wanted to be on this episode because strictly, like Tristan mentioned in the beginning, it's Sydney versus Melbourne coronavirus comparison. And we want to get your take on how's lockdown been for you? How's the whole situation been down there in Melbourne?
For other people, I'm pretty sure like it's really crap for them. I'm pretty sure you've heard of the protest. That's one. Two is like the other people like protesting about they wanna go back out of lockdown because of their businesses. It's not going great for them. So it's really bad in case where financially it's really bad for them and other people that aren't working and they don't have work right now. And
Yeah.
it's just really hard in general. You can't do much. You can't go out. You can't do your own stuff. You can't exercise as much. You have a strict restriction of like you gotta work out for 2 hours and that's it. You have a 5-kilometer radius of where you can work out and travel. So it's bad for people that aren't working and they're just strictly staying at home, and that's basically what the reason of why they're doing all this protest and getting mad.
Yeah, so over here in Sydney, like I guess our situation's been kind of similar to you. Like as you said, it's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people like they've lost their jobs and everything. We've been stuck at home. You only go out if you want to, exercise or go to the supermarket, all your essential needs. But then it does take a toll. Like we're we've been in here for more than 3 months now, so like 14 weeks give or take. But yeah, like it doesn't get any easier. Like sure, you can get used to the routine and everything, but just being locked at home, that's a different story, because like in human history that has not happened in like the last 100 years, right? Like everyone's been used to going outside, doing their own thing, and all of a sudden that freedom's been taken away from you. And like we've mentioned in our COVID series that yeah, lockdown's not easy and everyone's going through a struggle, but then it's the lessons that we get out of it that can cause us to change, that can cause us to appreciate even the small things in life. So yeah, like Tris, like you mentioned this, right? Like even when you're working and all, like it's been a huge eye opener for you, isn't it?
Given my love for travel and being taken away from me, as I've mentioned many episodes already, that it has been a change for me just staying at home, given that I've also worked from home for pretty much the good year and a half now. most of it has been working from home for the last 2 years, so it's a little bit different. I know Vincent still has to go to work, so I don't know. Like, has that been easy for you, Vince? Like, how's the traffic been, and any new changes in your routine?
Routine's literally the same. Not gonna lie. You wake
Nice.
up to the point where 15 minutes is all you need to get ready and go to the station. That's all I need.
Yes.
Like sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna miss the train. I'll take the next one. I'm not gonna be late. What's the difference? Like the traffic's not like I take the public transport just because it's easier for me. I don't want to drive to the city because parking is like a pain.
Yeah.
So I might as
And
well
probably
just.
expensive.
It is. It's pretty expensive, especially near the city and the hospital. But routine wise, it's still the same. You wake up, you go there, you work, and then you come back. There's no traffic. But then there are people they're not wearing their mask in the train. So I'm like,
Right.
bro, in my head, I'm like, why aren't you wearing a mask? Like, wear your mask. Like, I just want to give them a big slap pop, but you can't. You can't. I'm like scared to go up to them, like talk to them. I'm like, wear your mask, dude. It's gonna be like dangerous, but can't do much.
Yeah, it's a little hard sometimes with the whole mask thing. Admittedly, though, Sydney has been pretty good. The times that have been out, I haven't really seen many people not wearing a mask. So, I guess ultimately Sydney just wants to get out, and they don't want sort of how Melbourne has been treating this whole lockdown. I know you guys are a lot stricter than we are. And I believe, I don't know if you guys have seen the news, that even with the vaccination rates going up, there's a big contrast between what Sydney is doing and what Melbourne is doing. Is there any indication as to when you guys are going to be out? Like, was there any dates given?
From what I heard, somewhere in November we should be out. So that's still like a month and a half away, which is a while. But like Daniel Andrews literally said, we're gonna be out of lockdown in like 2 weeks. But that changes. Things change. It's like a rough estimate of like, we'll be out at this time once we reach like 80% of like second dose vaccination. But then we don't know what's gonna happen like in the future. So yeah.
Have you been vaccinated yourself?
Yes, I have. It's a part of my work that I need to get
Alright.
vaccination. Yeah.
Lucky you. Nice. We're still waiting on our second dose, so...
Well, I got my second dose
sorry. Justin's
last
already
week.
got
Yeah.
his.
So
I'm still waiting on my second dose, so...
How was your first the symptoms when you got your first vaccination?
well, my first, because I got AstraZeneca, so my first dose, I got sick the next day for a whole day. Then after that, I felt better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How about you, Tris?
I just had sore shoulders, which was
Yeah.
really strange. Like, it's very weird. Like, I thought I would get nothing, but I still got something the day after.
Did you get Pfizer?
Yeah, I got Pfizer, so
Yeah.
me and Justin got the different one. You got Pfizer as well, right? I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
I got Pfizer. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait for my second dose. Like, I've been trying so hard to get the bookings earlier, but I just haven't, there isn't anything available,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad. So yeah, hopefully, I know, I heard, hopefully we can go back to Melbourne again soon, because we were there early this year.
Yes, we were.
I
Hey,
feel
you
like,
were.
Yeah.
I wonder.
know,
I
it's
wonder with
crazy.
you too.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy thinking about it, that we were all together in April. Then when we got back, actually shortly after we got back, Sydney did its own lockdown as well. And I thought that was only a week.
Yeah.
And like me and Justin talk about it, turned into months. And yeah, I don't know. I guess the big contrast that we got to explore is, was Sydney a little bit weak in its approach? And what do you think, Vince? Did Melbourne do a good job?
Melbourne did a good job in
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Well, today marks Melbourne's 246th day in lockdown, making it the most lockdown city in the world.
sense where we went in lockdown really early on in the year, right? I mean, that was good in a sense where we did a 2-week lockdown and then we got out of lockdown, and then we actually like only had like a couple of cases, right?
Yeah.
And it was they're under control, so it wasn't spread out. And then when I heard about Sydney, it was like they only got in lockdown early on this year, maybe late this year, which was like really late in a sense for me. Just cause like, why do it now instead? Like, just do it early on, and maybe like you wouldn't be in this situation right now, where you're in like 1,000 cases every day, which is really hard.
Yeah, exactly. We've been going we're skyrocketing up here. So Yeah, I honestly think Melbourne is doing a good job, and I live in Sydney, so I don't know what Justin's thoughts are on that one, but I feel like we could have gone a little bit stricter earlier. But given that we're here now, I think eventually Sydney will just accept that cases will just continue to rise up, and we just have to sort of live with it. I think, for a little bit. Yeah.
I think for the moment, because we're gonna come to the point where we don't focus on how much case numbers you get every day, because the population will be vaccinated to the extent where case numbers become irrelevant. The ones who emphasize the case numbers are the ones that show that want us to remain in this situation of lockdown. I think it's also feasible that getting to zero is basically impossible at this rate for both states, if we're being honest, because if you wait till you get to zero, then you're going to be waiting forever, because of the movements that that there's frontline workers that need to go to work, there's people that have to get out of the house, so the chances of restricting everyone's movement is just impossible, because you need to take care of other essential matters. And also, I think the thing we need to look at is how much of the population has already been vaccinated. So the figures in Sydney, I think double dose, we're now up to 56%. So that we're getting closer to the 70% threshold where they're going to start unlocking stuff. And I know it's different in Melbourne. I think, Tristan, you sent me the photo that they're planning to lose restrictions when they hit I think 70 or 80% single dose, and usually you'd only unlock stuff once you get double dose, but for Melbourne to do single dose, loosening of restrictions, is a bit weird, because why would you loosen up when your double dose rate is not as high?
But let's keep in mind, though, from what I've seen anyway, their idea of easing restrictions is different to our idea of easing restrictions. Now, I've noticed that although I think the travel ban for our own state, within our state, domestic travel for New South Wales is allowed at double dose, whereas I think I may have to correct you as well, Justin. I think it's actually double dose, not first dose. We'll have to fact check that for you guys, but from what we've seen anyway, double dose, I think Melbourne will only increase the sort of the radius to 25 from the 5 kilometer rule. Is that right, Vince?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's nothing, whereas we can actually travel around our state. So that's a main difference, I think. And now if I was living in Victoria, I'd probably really, really hate myself again, because honestly, like I said, I already enjoyed traveling. If I was to limit again after getting the vaccination, then what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not even too sure if you need. I'm pretty sure actually you need to get a clearance to actually travel out of Victoria. But that's hard because you need to get double vaxxed first of all, and that's gonna take at least a month or two, depending on how long that's gonna take. And then you also need to get the clearance, which is gonna take another month or two as well. It's not easy to get a clearance.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they're very tight on the restrictions up there. So
yeah,
who knows when we're gonna get to visit Melbourne again? Probably not till next year.
A while.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my little 2 cents about that. Now, Vincent did mention earlier the protests. Let's talk about the irony in that one.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess a question me personally was dying to ask you. How was the earthquake?
I was working and I didn't feel it.
Oh no.
Let's be honest.
Sorry.
That was bad. I mean, it was a good thing for me that I didn't feel it, but it was bad because I actually wanted to feel it. I wanted to feel what an earthquake feels like.
Well, to be frank, we don't really get earthquakes here, right?
Yeah,
No,
we don't.
No.
Which is weird.
My whole time here
we
in
got
Australia,
it.
I've never heard earthquakes being associated to Australia. It's just not a thing you hear, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We're known for our bushfires and I don't know,
Dry weather and
dry
all
weather
that.
and all that sort of stuff. We're known
Yep.
for that, right? Not an earthquake. So
Legit.
I thought it was a bit of a meme at the beginning when I saw it coming around, TikTok and all the news outlets and stuff. That wow, Melbourne really has an earthquake. That's kind of strange. And I guess the irony that I was discussing with Justin was, how your protests were mainly construction workers not being able to work. now I think we kind of need them again, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Especially about like what happened in Chapel Street in the city. There was actually like
Right.
buildings that it didn't collapse or anything, but like a part of the building collapsed. So I'm like, where are they? We need them to fix it.
Well, I saw
Right?
the photos, right? The people are saying it wasn't that bad, but I thought it was pretty bad.
Yeah, of course. Considering that we don't get earthquakes in
Yep.
Australia,
Right.
it's pretty bad.
I think it's the structure of our buildings. You know, surely we're not ready for earthquakes because we don't get those, right?
Yeah.
I remember tuning into the news for the first time ever. I didn't hear a single COVID news.
It was something else. It was about an earthquake.
It was an earthquake, and like it was funny because during the earthquake news, I don't know if you were around, Justin, but we switched on the TV during that time, and you know how we've got the 11 a.m. Gladys Berejiklian conference, the 11 a.m. one that comes on. They actually cancelled it for the earthquake. So yeah, I thought that was something else to look into. Anyway, so we've covered the COVID routines. What else have you changed besides your normal day-to-day stuff, Vince?
Not much. It's literally just the same. Bro, I mean, I actually started to stream more, which is better, and not really better because I can't go out and train and be fit.
It's all right. Everyone has to go through their lockdown phase.
That's true.
Yeah,
But
you're
yeah.
entitled to that.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like when you were talking about the protest, yeah, going back to the protest, I feel like why would you go and do that, right? Like you're literally just making it worse for us, and of course the cases will literally just skyrocket when that happened. And then that first protest that happened in Melbourne, that was intense because like people were very violent. Like I saw a news reporter get hit by a can. I'm like, a can?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you saw
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, you brought that up, Justin, right? Was that you that brought it up with me, or maybe someone
Might have
else
been,
did?
yeah.
It might have
Yeah.
been. But yeah, no, that was a really funny. Well, not
Funny.
that funny,
No.
but you know. Well, look, I feel bad laughing at it, but I mean, come on, guys, right? Like, some guy gets hit with a can.
By a
So
can.
how can you not laugh at that, right? And honestly, I don't know. Like, it's hard to judge the protest because I'm not
Yeah.
really in their shoes.
Yeah.
So I try not to, but I do admit though that it is quite.
I mean, it'll be hard in both sides. For tradies, it's gonna be hard because they don't have anywhere to eat. Like some people said there, they don't have a tea room, and that's hard already as itself because they'll be working like physically.
Yep.
And then in government areas, it's gonna be like, why would you do this protest? And it's gonna make it worse for like a lot of people, where you know the trams were actually stopped. We can't go through. I mean, I remember the second day of the protest, I had to walk from the hospital all the way to the station, which took like 40 minutes walk.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's good exercise, but it was like I saw the police because on the Shrine of Remembrance, I could hear them screaming and talking, and you know they'll be like chanting. I think it's chanting. So they're literally just, there's a lot of police and there's horses, and it was intense because like
Yeah.
I've never really experienced it. And then there's also like I don't know how old they were, probably like 19, 20-year-olds that were just walking in groups. And I'm like, you're not actually part of this protest. Why are you out here? And you know, it's just like you're not even like relevant at this situation. So yeah.
Did the protest go for more than one day?
Yeah, it did.
Right.
The first protest was actually like
Really bad.
the really bad one, and then the second protest was like controlled.
Nice.
Yeah.
Don't you just love those controlled protests?
Who loves a
just-
protest?
it's just two different things you don't hear like at the same sentence, but I kind of see it. So given that you work in the city, you would have seen. Was the city messed up? Like, was there a lot of like? I
No,
don't
there was
know,
no rubbish.
no rubbish.
It was no rubbish. It was actually pretty clean.
Wow.
It's just the people. There was a lot of people.
Wow.
It felt like a normal day, but protest. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I think that was the same day when the earthquake happened. So when that happened, I was actually working and I couldn't feel anything. I was still inside the building. Dude, everyone, I could hear not the siren, but there was like a sound where you had to evacuate the building so that just in case, right? I was still inside the building. I didn't feel the earthquake, and I was like asking people, "What happened? How come you guys are outside?" They're like, "Oh, there was an earthquake." I was like, "What?" So I had to leave the building after it happened.
That earthquake thing is really just a phenomenal thing. Like, it's crazy. I didn't even know that could happen in Australia. So
Yeah.
there we go. I guess we can be proud of everything happening here. You know, we have literally had everything happen in Australia now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, how does it feel being the world's most locked down city? I saw in the news report that Melbourne took out that title a few days ago. 230 plus days in lockdown
Bro,
in total.
it doesn't seem like it's that long, but it is. If you think about it, it's nearly a year.
Well, yeah, because like there were many times that we were trying. I'm surprised even like me and Justin we went in April, like, you know, during Easter, right? It's kind of crazy that we actually made it through the cut. And then you guys went on lockdown again, if I'm not wrong, right? After that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess hopefully Sydney doesn't catch up, although it feels like we've been in this for a long time as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
A lot has happened
Yeah.
past year. Like a lot of actually like you know the Melbourne Star, right? We've been there. So apparently it closed down. They're actually like shut down.
is that like is that the Crown, or what's Melbourne Star?
No, that's
Melbourne
the Ferris
Star, you know,
wheel, right?
the big
Oh,
ass
the one with the
wheel?
Ferris wheel, right?
Yeah.
Right, where we took our
So
photos.
I saw in the news where they're actually just going to be out of business.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's sad, but then my dad said that it's just gonna come back, like eventually. But we don't know what's gonna happen because it's been out for how long now? 200 and something days, right? And you can't get like people inside. Usually you can fit like 2 families in there, depending on how big. And then now it's just shut down, and it's sad because like that's one of the main attractions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how what next year is gonna look like, but this year has definitely been a blur. Like it zoomed past right at me. Like, can you guys believe that we're in September now, and you know, we're in the Burr months now, as they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, October in a few days. So
Exactly.
yeah, very quickly.
Cool. I don't know what other COVID stories we've got there, but I guess the main one that I really wanted to ask as well is, did you have any sort of embarrassing stories during COVID? I'm not sure if are you currently studying still again, or
No, I'm not.
you know,
I'm
not at the
studying
moment.
right now. No.
Right. Okay. So
Embarrassing though. What's embarrassing?
it could
I
be
don't even
anything.
know. It could be anything. Yeah. I mean, there was this story where I was in the hospital and then I saw an old guy. Like
Nice.
I was delivering some food and an old guy and the wife was there. And then I think the wife was just trying to comfort the guy. Yeah, and then the old guy was like, "Piss off! Get out of my way! You're annoying me." I'm like, "Bro, you talk like that to your wife?" I was like, "Holy shit!" I walked down and I just kept walking. That was intense.
Wow.
Seeing that, I feel bad.
Okay. Well, I guess some old people just grow old in a really bad way, which is sad to see. Cool. Well, look, I think we haven't really covered much during this, but I hope that you guys have sort of heard a little perspective sort of shift between Sydney and Melbourne. Now, for Sydney siders, because most of our viewers will probably come from Sydney, given that most of our close friends are, you know, from Sydney, right, Justin? That the next time you guys complain, just think about the state that's underneath us. You know, Melbourne just right below us, that are coping it much worse than we are in terms of restrictions.
Because on the one hand, you mentioned how, like, you know, look out for your neighbors down below us, right? But then, like, we're forgetting that the reason why we're in this lockdown is not because of the coronavirus, but because of the variant that this coronavirus has this year. So, as you know, this strain is the Delta strain, and it's just a lot more transmittable, a lot more contagious. I guess, which is the reason why Sydney's been in this lockdown, because nobody anticipated how severe that this variant would be, right? Like,
Exactly.
I think I think the reason why we hesitated to be in lockdown earlier was because of our past experiences. But then our mistake was that we shouldn't rely on past experiences because this variant was a complete new one, right? It was completely out of the blue. So if we had known that this one was more contagious, then I believe we would have locked down earlier. But the fact that we waited like 2 weeks before we decided to lock down was probably a mistake. But then in hindsight, that did allow us to increase our vaccination rates at the end of the day. So it just goes to show how, even if we know what to do previously, it doesn't mean that it's going to work every time.
Yeah, I agree. Well, cool. Amazing input from both. I know that me and Justin have already done 3 episodes dedicated to COVID, so we're probably going to stop it right there. And we just wanted to bring Vincent in for a quick sort of check-in on how Melbourne is going and how his life has been going in Melbourne as well. I hope that you guys have caught our last 2 episodes as well that we've uploaded probably by the time this goes up as well. And yeah, stay safe, everyone.
Oh yeah, can I ask Vincent one question before we end?
Of course, sure.
Yeah. Hey Vince, because we asked this to our guests in the last episode. So how has COVID changed you as a person? Like, what are your takeaways from this whole situation that we are in? Like, has it benefited you? Like, what have you learned?
It has benefited me a lot, in the sense where, yeah, like Tristan said, you kind of appreciate the smaller things in life. You kind of appreciate the things where, when you were out and about, where before COVID, you would just be like, oh, they'll be fine. You don't have to check up on a lot of people. But then you get closer to people right now because it's COVID, and you kind of check up on everyone. And I feel like I've changed in a sense where, I would be more careful. And I don't know, you just change it in a way where you kind of just don't see it coming.
Exactly. Well, nobody saw this coming,
Yeah.
Back in 2019, I remember that when this whole thing began, I was at my work Christmas party, and it was the first time. Oh, it was early 2020, end of 2019, right? This whole thing first began, and I remember one of my work colleagues was telling me, "Oh, look at this new flu that's starting in China," and I was just thinking, like, okay, might just stay in China, right? Who knows, right? No one knew it was gonna go around the world. Yeah. And infect us all, right? So yeah, it's kind of crazy that 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
What we considered normal before is now different.
Yeah.
Right. I guess adding on to Vincent's point, you do appreciate technology a lot more now as well.
That's right.
I
can
find
see
right
Vincent
now-
right here.
Exactly. We can all
Right
catch
now,
up. Yeah.
it's kind of like the source of communication. Right now,
Yeah.
you can't do the old way where you have to send like a letter and put in the mailbox and send that to the post office. You can't do that
Exactly.
anymore.
Can
It's
you
hard.
imagine if our parents at the time when they were can you imagine our parents our age at their time, right, being in lockdown?
That would be
What
hard.
would they have done, right?
They-
Look at how easy it is to talk to each other now. It's
Yeah.
easy to even play games online, play virtual board games, play.
Yeah.
A thing that I've been into lately is virtual escape rooms that maybe we can try one time. They're pretty fun.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's very easy to stay connected, and that is probably the main reason why a lot of people haven't gone insane yet, even though they're saying that they are. Is that you can still stay connected with your friends one way or another,
Yeah.
right? It's not that hard. So
Even if you have that 5 kilometer radius, I'm pretty sure like, oh, you guys want to meet up in the shopping center, go in the grocery together. You can do that.
all right,
It's not breaking the rules.
It's like bending the rules, but
bending the rules.
Bending
yeah.
it.
But yeah, no, it's look, like I said, everyone does it. I know I've done it as well, probably once or twice in the last year and a half.
Probably more.
Probably more. Let's be real. No, look, in all honesty, if you meet halfway, like, no one's really gonna like say, oh no, you're 8.5 kilometers over or something. Like, no one's gonna say that, right? I did hear from some of my Melbourne friends that they were very strict with fines, so I hope you haven't received anything.
Nah,
Good.
which is good because
Yeah,
the
that's
fines
good.
are hella expensive.
it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. It's kind of crazy how they want to charge like $1,000 plus for like, breaking the rules.
Breaking the rules.
Um,
And considering that people are already in a financial
Yeah.
crisis,
mm,
like, bro, why? It's not gonna
Yeah.
help.
I know we live in crazy times, guys. So yeah. Well, we were about to end it, but thanks for that question, Justin. I did forget to ask him that, so thank you for that. I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment, and as always, I hope you guys are all staying safe during this pandemic, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye everyone. See you next time.
Bye. Peace.